Okay, well, that's how I do it too. I shove my fingers in there and dig it out.
Like,
So
wash my
there you go.
hands. Did you
Yeah,
wash your
you're good.
hands?
Oh, yeah, before.
This is why we're not that cooking show.
Tell me why, oh why it feels so right. It feels so right to be alone. Whether day or night, rain or shine, it feels so right to be alone.
Welcome back to Arlene Is Alone. Although today I am not alone because I have Hayley Wickenheiser here with me.
Thanks for having me, Arlene.
Yeah, friend and doctor. You know what it's like to have a friend who is a doctor? It's really good for me. It's not so good for her. Haley, what does this mean when this happens? Haley, why is this happening to me? Haley, do you get a million calls like that? Or just me?
No, no, I get a few. I get a
Yeah.
few. It's kind of fun though, because you actually feel like you can help somebody. But
And
yeah,
you also know everything intimately about her. She
that's
knows
true.
all about my cholesterol issues, let me tell you. Everything.
You're doing great.
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Haley is here today in her capacity as a physician to talk about what it means when we are trying to nourish ourselves when we are alone. Because when I'm alone, sometimes I can get really lazy and I think I don't want to cook for just me because I've cooked for a family of four, and so I've always made big quantities, and then like I get bored with it before I can eat it all.
My son is grown and gone now, and I'm on my own, so I do Uber Eats. But I also am very fortunate that my role with the Leafs, we get great meals during the day, so I often am okay. But if I'm at home and have to cook, it's often the Uber Eats. I'm guilty, just like everyone else. So
But just thinking about that, I know you were telling me a story about
yeah.
somebody who just came into the emergency room,
Mhm.
and that you see this fairly frequently where people who are alone don't take good care of themselves.
Yeah, 2 nights ago, I was doing an emerge shift, and a 68-year-old female came in who was a call for welfare by her daughters, actually. And EMS arrived to a house that was disheveled, and when they brought her in, she was delirious, and her blood work was all wonky, her electrolytes were wonky, and ultimately malnourished. Being alone and being lonely, I think, are two different things. But in the world of medicine, we see this often where people come in with chronic illness, and if they're alone, it gets compounded.
Right.
And that was her. So it's really actually a very common thing that we see, and it's really important to take care of yourself even when you just might be on your own. Yeah.
Do you think that when you're alone, it can actually lead to loneliness if you aren't taking care of yourself? Because, like, for example, like if I'm by myself at my house, I'm an introvert. I don't really like, I would just as soon stay home as go out.
Yeah.
So if I decide to stay home, even though I say I'm fine alone, I can then start to find that isolation makes me lonelier. Is
Yes.
that
I think people die from being lonely and being isolated. I think we saw that in COVID. I think human beings were meant to interact and be very social. I know for me, I have a pretty public, outgoing life, but I'm also like an introvert when I'm at home. I don't really want to do anything or see anyone. But at times, you have to kind of force yourself to get out and have that social aspect and the joy that even trying to make a meal and have fun. Those types of things.
so? We are going to try and make a meal, a healthy meal, because one of the things we want to tell people is that just because you're alone doesn't mean that you can't eat well.
Yeah.
And Haley specializes in poached eggs.
Very true.
But today we're going to make wraps because
Yes,
I think this is an easy thing for even you to do, Haley.
it is.
Are you okay cutting an avocado without hurting yourself?
I am, but you probably wouldn't like the way I do it. So I think you should do it. I'll
What
cut
are
the
you going to do?
peppers.
Hey,
I'll cut the peppers.
how many injuries do you see with people cutting themselves?
A lot.
So funny story. I'm South African,
Yes.
and when we came to Canada, we were raised like avocados grew in our backyard, and we loved avocados, and we used to buy them here in Canada. Nobody at the time, nobody knew what an avocado was. I'm telling you, like my friends would look at me like, "What is that?" And we would put vinegar in it and salt and pepper, and then we would eat this avocado. And I loved them, and I've always cut them just like this, Haley,
Oh,
and I've never ever hurt myself.
okay. Well, that's how I do it too. I shove my fingers in there and dig it out.
Like,
So
wash my
there you go.
hands. Did you
Yeah,
wash your
you're good.
hands?
Oh yeah, before.
Are you sure? Do you want
Yeah,
do you,
we're good.
do you want some avocado on yours?
We're yes,
Okay,
definitely.
there's some avocado. This is why we're not like cooking show.
You need some protein out here though. So I think that's one of the things that I find with people, with everyone in general, is most people don't eat enough protein in meals. It's hard to it's hard to get. It's easy to reach for carbs and fruits and vegetables, but protein. Do you have any like chicken, cheese, meat, anything?
I'll be right back. There's some cheese.
Okay, that works.
It's processed cheese though. Is that okay?
Not the best. When you're on your own and you need singles cheese, you just go for what's easy.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
And in this case, I might have chosen what was easier when I bought this because I usually don't choose like pre-processed food, but you know what? You got to get your protein. Mine looks better than this. You want some hummus?
Yeah, I'll take some hummus.
Okay.
That sounds good. Our metabolism slows as we get older. And so things like protein, exercise, sleep, stress reduction, these type of things become even more important as you age. So I would say from a nutritional standpoint, probably women, especially as they get older, getting enough protein into your diet is a really important thing. There's all sorts of different sort of scales, but I just like to say, a gram per pound or a day, that's a lot. That's a lot. And
That's
so
a lot.
if you can aim,
I mean, I don't weigh like 100 pounds, so that's a lot of protein.
it's a lot of protein. So if you get between, a half to one, you're doing pretty good. And but most people don't. And that's where, your body needs to recover, rebuild, replenish, and be strong. Your skeletal to your muscles, to your bones and all of that. So that would be one. I think probably the other thing is hydration. How many of us, myself included, don't drink enough water?
I drink a lot of water.
Oh, good for
I
you.
drink a lot of water. I start my day by drinking like 2 big glasses of water, and then I just always have a glass of water, except right now, handy, so that I'm constantly drinking it.
Yeah, and you can add in lemon water, different types of electrolytes too that help the body absorb. So it's not just straight water that goes in and you're peeing out free water. So that can be a way to retain a little bit more. And then the other thing I would say is I think there's a tendency for people to eat 3 big meals a day versus, 4 or 5. We all know that more frequent is better. And that's hard to do when you're on your own and, you're just kind of hanging around, but having a healthy snack here and there just keeps you, satiated. So you don't sit down at 7 o'clock at night and eat a giant meal and then go to bed. That's probably one of the worst things for people to do.
But most of my friends who I know who are alone, their biggest issue is snacking at night. And it's ice cream and cookies and popcorn and nothing that's good for you.
Yeah, I find for me it can be the same thing. Like one of the things that I started to do is just add in sparkling water. So if I'm feeling like I need a something, Diet Coke or something, I just grab a sparkling water. Grab like even air popcorn. And things like, blueberries, stuff like that.
Wait, while I'm down here, we could have put tuna on.
Oh yeah, you could throw
That
tuna
would
on
be
there.
good,
There's some
right?
protein.
That would be good. Hold on, I'm going to open a can of tuna. Isn't that kind of the point that you usually have protein, you just don't think about where you can get it, which is a can of tuna or
Yeah, a can of tuna, eggs is obviously a great source of protein. I eat probably way too many eggs in a day just because they're easy and I'm lazy.
are they? I can't not ask you this because it has nothing to do with you being a doc, but being surrounded by so many men all the time, do you feel like and hockey? How many of them are single? Just asking for a friend. Just asking for a friend.
Good question. Actually, hockey, I find there's not a lot of single guys that I work with.
I dated a hockey player once.
Oh, how did that go?
Not what. I also
Didn't work
dated a bobsledder. I have a thing for athletes, which is kind of funny because I am so not athletic. That doesn't mean I don't. Well, why are we talking about that?
Oh, you brought it up. I mean,
One of the things I always do wrong when I'm making a wrap is I put too much in it and
Yeah.
I can't close it. So how do we
Oh.
close this?
I don't know. I just usually kind of smush it, pull it together, and then hold your plate over it when it all falls out.
Bruh.
Roll it.
Hmm.
It's good.
Not bad.
I would have still been too lazy to do all of this most days, but it's an easy thing to do.
This was easy though.
Yeah, it is.
The other thing that I'm curious about, I think about this. My family is concerned about me being alone, that something could happen to me,
Hmm.
and that I, need to call a doctor or call emergency. And I always say to them, listen, I'll be fine. I can get a hold of my friend Hayley who will come and help me. Or I can call emergency. But is there anything special that we should be thinking about when we are alone and we might hurt ourselves or like anything you'd recommend we do?
I think it's just you can share your location on your phone with your friends and your family, people that you want to have your location. I think at home it's just having having things accessible that if you did get hurt or injured, you would be able to call for help, whether it's a neighbor or someone that knows where you are. But other than that, I don't really have any great ideas.
No,
other
but
than
that is a great idea.
yeah.
The locate, like when you're running or walking by yourself, or
Yeah, and there's different programs where you can get like a keychain that if you are in trouble on your own, you can activate. There's lots of security programs out there. You push a button and they call, kind of that type of thing. But I do think it is important if you're doing something that you're going to be like alone or in a precarious situation, just let somebody know.
are you ever afraid when you're by yourself?
No, actually,
Me
rarely.
either. Me
No.
either. If you think about being afraid to be alone, do you think that stops people from trying to be alone? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a couple layers to that. I think the ability to just be on your own and do things on your own, I think that's a healthy thing that we all have to do, because if you constantly need people to fill the void, then what is it that you're trying to fill the void of if you can't just be with yourself at times? So I think there's that a little bit. I think you have to know, it's like, know yourself, know what you need and what fills you up.
So you should pay attention to your body, because your body has needs, your mind has needs, your soul has needs, and you, when you're alone, have to take care of those needs. And that means, putting yourself first.
Yeah, it does. And yeah, like you say, you have to be your own best friend a
Yeah.
lot of times.
Hayley, thank you so much for coming and spending time with me. And I have learned so much from you. And that's the beauty of this show and getting to do it, is I get to talk to people and learn so much. And I hope you've learned something too. So thanks for joining Arlene Is Alone. If you have any comments on today's episode or any questions, please leave them below and make sure you subscribe. Enjoy your wrap, which I thought
I
was
will.
actually, we counted, there's about 17 grams of protein in this.
Yeah.
So let's see, I only have another 130 to go, or 140 to go or something.
We'll say 50 grams.
Yeah, there's 50 grams. Here's to you. Yeah, cheers.
Sure.